Before Chang Yu-hung left for battle, I grabbed him by the ear and warned him not to bring back any loose women when he returned. But despite promising me he wouldn't, he still brought a woman back with him on the day he returned from the campaign. "Honey, I didn't mean to," Chang Yu-hung, who had been speaking to his men with such confidence just moments ago, froze the instant he saw me, looking as though he'd just spotted a tiger. He cautiously edged closer, as if trying to explain something to me. I said nothing, merely staring at him with a cold smile. A look of shock flashed across Chang Yu-hung's face. He instantly ducked his head, too afraid to say another word. "Sister," said the woman Chang Yu-hung had brought back from the frontier, stepping forward timidly, like a frightened little rabbit. Her simple yet stunning face was etched with the word pitiful. Not just men, but even I, as a woman, felt an urge to protect her. I narrowed my eyes, sizing her up from head to toe, then turned my gaze to the several generals standing behind her. They were all subordinates who had followed Chang Yu-hung for many years, men who had fought their way through countless battles. Yet at this moment, none of them dared to meet my gaze. They all looked guilty, clearly hiding something from me, and the only thing they would hide from me had to do with Chang Yu-hung. With that thought, I shot a cold glare at Chang Yu-hung standing beside me. As if sensing the murderous intent in my gaze, Chang Yu-hung shuddered and hunched his neck even lower. Seeing him cowering like this, I actually smiled. In fact, I was in such a good mood that I asked him who this woman was. "She's a herb gatherer from the border town named Lin Wan. Her family died in the wars many years ago. She's the only one left," Chang Yu-hung explained in a low voice from behind me. His voice wasn't loud, but it was just loud enough for everyone in the courtyard to hear clearly. "Oh, if she's a herb gatherer from the border town, why is she following you back here? Since her family died in the war years ago, what possible connection could she have with Chang Yu-hung? It couldn't be that Chang Yu-hung took pity on her because she was alone and brought her back. Don't forget, she's been living on her own, gathering herbs for a living in the border town for several years. She certainly had the ability to fend for herself." Well, Chang Yu-hung swallowed hard, his gaze shifting nervously. His guilty expression made it seem as though he was about to lie, yet he was afraid I wouldn't believe him. I narrowed my eyes, a warning flashing in my gaze. "Ahem, actually, she saved me when I was injured in the border town. So, you know." Chang Yu-hung blurted it all out in one breath, then took a sudden step back, staring in horror at the spot where he'd been standing just moments ago. A flail had landed there. The impact was so forceful it shattered the paving stones. I dared not imagine how loud Chang Yu-hung would have screamed if he hadn't dodged it. I brushed my sleeves, turned around, and looked at Lin Wan in front of me with a friendly expression, as if nothing had happened. "So it was Miss Lin who saved my husband. I am truly grateful. Since you are my husband's savior, we must repay you properly." As I spoke, I stepped forward quickly. Before Lin Wan could recoil in fear, I took her hand in one of mine and placed the other on her shoulder, a gesture of intimacy. "I heard you call me sister just now, so I assume you must be younger than me. In that case, I'll call you Little Lin from now on. Little Lin, you've been following the army all the way to the capital. You must be exhausted. I'll have someone prepare a meal and a room for you right away. Get some rest." I half pushed, half supported Lin Wan as we made our way toward the inner hall. As we passed Chang Yu-hung, I casually stepped on his foot. Still reeling from the shock, Chang Yu-hung let out a piercing wail and hopped up and down on the spot, clutching his foot. After settling Lin Wan, I returned to my bedroom with a grim expression. Chang Yu-hung had been waiting inside all along, pacing restlessly. When he saw me enter, he froze in place as if startled, unable to move. I didn't look at him. With a flick of my wrist, the door behind me slammed shut. Still shaken, Chang Yu-hung glanced at the closed door, then cautiously approached me and eagerly poured me some water. Here, my lady, have some water. Drink up." I didn't take the water from him. Instead, I turned and stared at him. Although Chang Yu-hung was terrified, he still craned his neck and met my gaze. After a long moment, I finally looked away. I was certain that Chang Yu-hung hadn't done anything to betray me. He wouldn't dare, and his eyes told me the same. "Sit down." Even though I was certain Chang Yu-hung hadn't betrayed me, there were still many matters to resolve. Chang Yu-hung was well aware of this. He sat quietly before me, looking as if he were waiting to be interrogated. "Speak." I picked up my teacup, took a leisurely sip, and waited for his explanation. Seeing that I was calm, a smile finally appeared on Chang Yu-hung's face. He said that after defeating the enemy forces, he had encountered an ambush on the way back to the border town. During the retreat, Chang Yu-hung was unexpectedly wounded and fell down a steep slope, narrowly escaping death by being buried under a pile of leaves. But at the time, he was severely injured and unable to move. Venturing out recklessly would have been a death sentence, so he decided to lie low. I lay there until nightfall. "You don't know this, my dear, but your husband here nearly didn't make it," Chang Yu-hung said with exaggerated drama, his every gesture, tone, and expression begging to be slapped. But I knew he was telling the truth. That's just how he is. He always uses this kind of humor to cover up the fact that he nearly died. I know he does it because he doesn't want me to worry, and he doesn't want me to feel heartbroken. But what he doesn't know is that even though he makes it sound so casual, my heart still clenched. If it weren't for that damned imperial decree, I would never have let Chang Yu-hung go through all this. At this thought, a wave of irritation welled up inside me, deepening my resentment toward that person in the palace. Chang Yu-hung didn't notice the cold, steely look in my eyes as he continued speaking. Just as he was about to lose consciousness from severe blood loss, Lin Wan, who was gathering herbs, found him. Lin Wan not only helped stop Chang Yu-hung's bleeding, but also used the herbs she had painstakingly gathered to treat him. She's so petite, yet she's surprisingly strong. She dragged me down the mountain all by herself. It's a good thing our troops had already wiped out the enemy forces. Otherwise, things would have been even worse. Even though a month had passed, Chang Yuheng still felt a chill run down his spine when he recalled the incident. I listened quietly as he spoke, and my hostility toward Lin Wan diminished considerably. Regardless of her motives for following Chang Yuheng to the capital, she was his lifesaver. That was an indisputable fact, and I should be grateful to her. Chang Yuheng continued his story. Lin Wan brought the injured Chang Yuheng back to her home, paid for a doctor, bought medicine, and cared for him meticulously. After he regained consciousness, Chang Yuheng gave Lin Wan a sum of money to repay her for saving his life. Later, when Lin Wan learned that Chang Yuheng was a general, she expressed her admiration for him. Upon hearing that Chang Yuheng was returning to the capital to report for duty, Lin Wan said longingly, "The capital must be so bustling. I'd really love to see it for myself." Chang Yuheng, ever straightforward, waved his hand grandly. "What's so hard about that? Since Miss Lin wants to go to the capital, then come with us." And so, Lin Wan followed Chang Yuheng to the capital. After finishing his story, Chang Yuheng looked at me somewhat cautiously, as if afraid I might get angry. I glared at him with some irritation. "If that's the case, why didn't you mention it in the letters you sent back?" Ever since Chang Yuheng left for the campaign, we'd been exchanging letters. It was our agreement to ensure we were both safe. And before he returned to the capital, he sent me a letter. He even sent another one when he was nearing the capital. But aside from sappy love notes, those two letters said absolutely nothing. Well, Chang Yuheng turned his face away awkwardly, cleared his throat, and blushed. "It's just, I missed you so much, I forgot." As he spoke, he quietly moved closer to me, his fingers hooking the hem of my robe. Seeing that I didn't refuse, Chang Yuheng's face lit up with joy, and he took advantage of the situation, scooping me up into his arms. He muttered, as he walked toward the bed, "It's been so long, my love. I've missed you to death." He sounded like a total lecher, so I couldn't help but raise my hand and give him a light slap. I didn't hit him hard. Chang Yuheng chuckled and laid me down on the bed, and I let him press himself against me. In the middle of the night, I woke from my sleep to find the space beside me empty. I sat up and reached out to touch it. It had long since grown cold. I didn't know when Chang Yuheng had gotten up. I got up, threw on some clothes, and opened the window. Outside, the wind ruffled the apricot tree, causing its leaves to sway. The shadows of the leaves danced, yet the courtyard was deserted. Chang Yuheng was gone. Frowning, I stepped outside. It was so late, I didn't even have to think to guess where Chang Yuheng had gone or what he was doing. But precisely because I could guess, I felt even more miserable, a tight knot in my chest. My frustration left me no patience to walk there slowly. I took a deep breath and leaped straight onto the roof. With a few leaps, I reached the courtyard I'd previously arranged for Lin Wan. It was already late at night, yet the light in her room was still on, and faint voices drifted out. Perched on an apricot tree in the courtyard, I peered through the window at the two figures sitting across from each other. Chang Yuheng had his back to the door, while Lin Wan sat opposite him, her face looking rather aggrieved. "Don't blame her." A breeze carried a single sentence Chang Yuheng's voice. He was comforting Lin Wan. This scene was strikingly reminiscent of a story from a novel. A general returning from battle brings back a young, innocent woman. The legitimate wife cannot tolerate her, so the young woman deliberately puts on a pitiful act to elicit the general's sympathy, using this as an excuse to have the legitimate wife divorced. Thinking of this, a pang of bitterness welled up in my heart, and I felt sorry for the legal wife in the story. And now, this very scene, one that would only appear in a storybook, was unfolding right before my eyes. Yet I felt little sorrow. Instead, I felt a bit embarrassed. Inside the room, Lin Wan, her face full of grievance, sobbed while tearing into a large chicken drumstick. With one hand, her other hand busily grabbing other dishes. Her eyes were filled with nothing but a craving for food. There was not the slightest hint of a woman vying for the position of primary wife. Anyone watching her would surely let their guard down. Slow down, eat slowly, don't rush. All of this is yours, and there's plenty more if you need it. Chang Yuheng's voice came through, tinged with a hint of gritted teeth. Just from the sound of it, I could imagine the expression on his face. He must be torn, not sure whether to offer advice or just keep his mouth shut. Not long after he spoke, Lin Wan, who had been stuffing food into her mouth frantically, suddenly paused and let out a burp. Chang Yuheng and I both froze in surprise as one burp followed another. Chang Yuheng snapped back to his senses and hurriedly poured her some water. Lin Wan had drunk too quickly and choked on it. Her little face turned bright red from coughing, yet she still refused to let go of the chicken drumstick in her hand. As soon as she caught her breath, she couldn't wait to continue eating, though this time she took it a bit slower. Watching her like this, Chang Yuheng sighed. "Keep eating for now. If you run out, just have the servants fetch more from the kitchen." Lin Wan's mouth was full, but she nodded gratefully at him. "I'll head back now." Chang Yuheng was a little worried, so he turned back to give her one last piece of advice. "It's late at night, don't eat too much, or you'll get indigestion." With that, Chang Yuheng left. I watched Lin Wan eating intently in the room, unable to put my finger on exactly how I felt. Tomorrow, I'll have the servants prepare more food for Lin Wan. When I returned to the main courtyard, I happened to see Chang Yuheng tiptoeing in. He crept in, glanced around before closing the door, looking every bit the thief. I stood with my arms crossed, leaning against the door, quietly watching his furtive movements. Thinking he hadn't been spotted, Chang Yuheng turned around only to see me standing at the doorway. He let out a startled scream. Several birds outside the courtyard were startled into flight. I covered his mouth, pressing my index finger against his lips to signal him to be quiet. Although Chang Yu-hung stopped screaming, he still looked completely shaken, his voice trembling as he spoke. Wife, you... I ignored him and took his hand, leading him back to the bedroom. Where did you run off to in the middle of the night? Hurry back to bed. Don't you get tired? Chang Yu-hung opened his mouth as if to say something, but stopped himself. He knew my temperament well. By saying this, I was telling him I knew exactly what he'd been up to. We slept in each other's arms all night. The next morning, Chang Yu-hung, unusually, lingered in bed. Perhaps his taut nerves had finally relaxed, or perhaps it was the exhaustion from the journey, but he slept exceptionally soundly. Chang Yu-hung slept until noon, so late that eunuch Li Hai, who had come to summon him to the palace, had been waiting for him in the side hall for 2 full hours. I sat in the side hall, keeping eunuch Li company over tea and pastries. I simply refused to let anyone go wait, Chang Yu-hung. Eunuch Li squirmed like a cat on a hot tin roof. He dared not drink any more tea. He was already holding his bladder, and with me sitting there, he didn't dare ask to use the restroom. As for the pastries, eating them dry was too dry and choking. It would have been better not to eat them at all. He wanted me to go urge Chang Yu-hung to get up, but every time he met my half-smiling, half-serious gaze, he lost his nerve to speak. After all, the woman sitting beside him was the one who dared to slap the emperor across the face. As lunchtime approached, Chang Yu-hung still hadn't gotten up, but Lin Wan walked in. Good morning, sister. Last night's indiscretion hadn't affected Lin Wan. She greeted me with a faint smile. I nodded at her, motioning for her to sit down, then introduced eunuch Li to her. Upon hearing he was from the palace, a look of surprise flashed across Lin Wan's face. She hurriedly stood to curtsy, but I stopped her. You are a guest in my general's mansion. There's no need to be so formal. Just relax. Lin Wan hesitated before nodding at my words, casting a cautious glance at eunuch Li beside her. Seeing no sign of displeasure on his face, she quietly let out a sigh of relief. Eunuch Li sized up Lin Wan, a gleam flashing in his eyes. Who knows what mischief he was hatching now? Madame Du, who is this? He asked me in a drawling voice, his eyes darting back and forth over Lin Wan. She is the general's savior. I set down my teacup, not intending to say more. Eunuch Li, however, reacted as if he discovered a new continent, exclaiming in sudden realization. Oh, so she's the general's savior, is she? That shrill voice was unbearable to anyone not used to hearing it. Lin Wan couldn't stand it. She shuddered as if struck by lightning, her body going rigid. Another quarter of an hour passed, and Chang Yu-hung still hadn't arrived. Eunuch Li looked anxiously at the sun outside. He wanted to urge me on but dared not speak, the tension making him squirm. It wasn't just him who was uncomfortable. Lin Wan, sitting beside him, was also feeling uneasy. She furrowed her brow slightly, glancing toward the door from time to time. Her hands resting in front of her quietly cupped her stomach, rubbing it gently as if she were in some discomfort. I lifted my lowered gaze and noticing her subtle movements, suddenly thought of something. It's already noon. Miss Lin, you must be hungry, right? Upon hearing my words, a flicker of delight crossed Lin Wan's face. She was itching to nod immediately, but with eunuch Li present, she could only swallow hard and give me a subtle nod. My apologies for the poor hospitality. I offered her an apologetic smile, then turned to instruct the maid to take her to eat. Lin Wan had been a bit hesitant at first, feeling it might be impolite to go eat alone. But upon seeing the look of assurance in my eyes, she immediately scampered off to follow the maid to the dining hall. Instantly, the room was left with just eunuch Li and me. Eunuch Li sat there uneasily. Perhaps it was the heat, but a bead of sweat had formed on his forehead. Just as he was about to raise his hand to wipe it away, someone walked in through the door. Honey, I'm hungry. Before the person had even stepped inside, that clingy, whiny voice drifted in first. Eunuch Li, who had just begun to look surprised and delighted, turned pale the moment he heard the voice, his face flushing with embarrassment. Chang Yu-hung looked as if he hadn't fully woken up yet, his eyes still bleary, his clothes thrown on haphazardly. He staggered over to me, didn't even look to see who I was, and wrapped his arms around me. With a long stride, he sat down, hanging on to me like a koala. Although eunuch Li had long been aware of Chang Yu-hung's fondness for me, he was still startled by the scene before him, his eyes widening in shock as he turned his face away in dismay. The kitchen has already prepared the meal. Let's have something to eat in a moment. I patted his back and whispered the reminder in his ear. After lunch, go into the palace with eunuch Li. Don't keep that person waiting too long. Eunuch Li sat nearby, hearing every word I said, and silently rolled his eyes. That person in the palace has been waiting since this morning. It's not like he's been waiting long. I didn't know if Chang Yu-hung had heard me. He remained clinging to me, refusing to budge. I didn't bother urging him further. I simply stood up, holding him in my arms. I'll take him to eat first. Eunuch Li, please wait here for a moment. With that, I paid no further attention to eunuch Li and left, carrying Chang Yu-hung, who clung to me like a koala. By the time we arrived, Lin Wan had already finished her meal and retired to her chambers. After coaxing Chang Yu-hung to finish his meal, I took him back to the bedroom to change his clothes. All right, let's go. I looked at the handsome man before me with satisfaction, a surge of pride filling my heart. This handsome man, capable of both the battlefield and the grand hall, was mine. Just thinking about it made me happy. Chang Yu-hung, now fully awake, was a completely different person from the sleepy version of himself just moments ago. He no longer clung to me in a drowsy, lazy manner, but instead kissed my forehead with a sense of maturity. I'm off, my dear. Seeing me nod, he turned and followed eunuch Li onto the carriage bound for the palace. After watching him leave, I turned to return to the mansion and happened to run into Lin Wan. Thinking of yesterday's events, I felt a bit embarrassed. I've really been reading too many romance novels lately. Not only did I mistake Miss Lin for a scheming White Lotus, but I also didn't even let her eat her fill. What a sin, what a sin. With that in mind, wanting to make amends, I walked over to Lin Wan. Miss Lin. Sister, oh no, I should call you sister-in-law. Lin Wan corrected herself with a touch of embarrassment, looking completely innocent. I smiled at her and took her hand affectionately. Call me whatever you like. Yu Heng told me you wanted to see the sights of the capital. How about I take you out for a stroll later? At the mention of going out, a spark of delight lit up Lin Wan's eyes. Really, thank you so much, sister-in-law. She smiled as brightly as a child. Her innocent and sunny demeanor was endearing. I had a maid prepare a carriage and took Lin Wan to the marketplace. Along the way, Lin Wan was amazed countless times by the capital's splendor, exclaiming in wonder constantly. The coachman found a suitable spot and stopped the carriage. Lin Wan and I got out and strolled through the market. She looked around curiously, interested in everything and delighted by it all. Walking beside her, she reminded me of a younger sister. For some reason, a sense of comfort welled up in my heart. As we were strolling, we suddenly heard the sound of an argument coming from ahead. We walked over and found that inside a noodle shop, two women were arguing fiercely over a box of rouge. Lin Wan peered in curiously, but didn't dare to go inside. I asked her if she wanted to go in and take a look, but she quickly shook her head in refusal. Don't go in, sister-in-law. Those two are clearly young ladies from wealthy families. What if we end up upsetting them? I had intended to take her inside to watch the spectacle, but upon hearing her words, I nodded and didn't go in. But just as I didn't want to go in, someone insisted on dragging me inside. Oh, I was wondering who it was. Why? It's our general's wife. That annoying voice came from behind me. I didn't even need to turn around to know who it was. Zhang Niao, the concubine of the Prince of Qing's mansion, a woman I've disliked since childhood. I couldn't help but look up at the sky. I felt that not checking the almanac before leaving the house today was my biggest mistake. Just as I was thinking this, Zhang Niao had already swayed her slender waist, pushed through the crowd, and come to stand beside me. She glanced at me from head to toe, then looked at Lin Wan standing next to me. As if she discovered something sensational, she raised her voice and said, "Oh my goodness. I heard yesterday that General Chang brought a woman back from the border town. I thought it was just a rumor, but I never imagined it was true." Zhang Niao stepped in front of me, eyeing Lin Wan from head to toe, and burst out laughing. She really is a stunner. Immediately after, she turned to look at me. Don't they say General Chang is a hopeless romantic, devoted only to his general's wife? How come he went to the border town and brought back a young lady? I see you're no better yourself. Zhang Niao's contemptuous words were laced with sarcasm, and she shot me a disdainful glance. Hearing her words, the people around us all turned to look, murmuring among themselves. Even the two who had been arguing fiercely over a box of rouge just moments ago fell silent. They all turned to look at me, as if waiting to see me make a fool of myself. I stood there, letting them stare, saying nothing, only watching Zhang Niao smile. As a concubine in the Prince of Qing's household, she held little status. By all rights, she should have curtsied upon seeing me. But Zhang Niao, relying on the fact that her father was the chancellor, had repeatedly been rude to me, even going so far as to taunt me. Perhaps I should have a word with her father. Just as I was thinking this, the person beside me suddenly stepped forward, standing in front of me. Sister, is the general you mentioned Brother Chang? Lin Wan looked at Zhang Niao with an innocent expression, asking earnestly. Zhang Niao had no idea what she was up to, and simply dismissed her as a fool. If it's not him, then who else could it be? Could it be that she's been fooling around with other generals on the side? Ha 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 ha. Smack! A sharp slap rang out, and immediately, all sound fell silent. Everyone stared at Lin Wan in shock, Zhang Niao included. And they couldn't believe it. A young girl from a frontier town had actually dared to strike a concubine of the Prince of Qing's household. I was shocked too. Just moments ago, she'd been afraid we'd get dragged into a feud between the young ladies of two prominent families. Yet this timid Lin Wan had actually dared to slap Zhang Niao. You. Zhang Niao was livid. She pointed at Lin Wan, unable to utter a word for a long moment. Lin Wan raised her hand and pinched the tip of her finger. With just a slight squeeze, Zhang Niao immediately cried out in pain. This young lady clearly looks like a lady from a prominent family. If that is the case, then a lady of your standing ought to possess proper manners. How could you possibly point your finger at someone so casually? Lin Wan still wore that harmless smile, but the pressure on her grip did not lessen. Furthermore, how could a lady like yourself spread such vile rumors in public, slandering another's reputation? Could it be that... She paused, then suddenly shoved her forward with all her might, releasing her grip as she did so. Caught off guard, Zhang Niao screamed and fell backward, only to be awkwardly caught by her maid. Could it be that you, madam, have been keeping a lover behind your husband's back? Lin Wan adopted a pensive expression as she spoke those words lightly, causing Zhang Niao's face to go pale in an instant. I keenly sensed a flicker of guilt in her eyes. You mad woman. What nonsense are you spouting? Zhang Niao scrambled to her feet and raised her hand to strike Lin Wan. I frowned and grabbed her wrist. Seeing she couldn't break free, Zhang Niao began cursing wildly and called on the maidservants nearby for help. Just then, a sharp shout rang out, followed by the sound of galloping hooves. "What are you all doing?" A man dressed in fine robes rode up on horseback, and the crowd that had been watching instantly scattered. He came before us, his gaze pausing slightly when it fell upon me. "Zaylin," the man called out softly, dismounted, and stepped in front of me. Before he could say anything, Zhang Niao broke free from my grip and threw herself into his arms, sobbing, "Your Highness, they're bullying me." Zhang Niao clung to Prince Qing as she complained, showing him the red marks on her wrist where I had gripped her. Prince Qing furrowed his brow, glanced at her injury, and said in a deep voice, "Such a minor injury. Why are you crying? What kind of behavior is this, in public?" Startled by his sharp rebuke, Zhang Niao quickly stopped crying. Before Prince Qing could push her away, Zhang Niao reluctantly stepped back. "Zelin, how could you?" Prince Qing took a step forward, as if to ask me something, but was interrupted by the sound of galloping hooves. "My dear," the voice reached us before the person did. I turned toward the source of the voice and opened my arms wide. A figure immediately threw itself into them. If it weren't for my strong core, I'm afraid he would have knocked me to the ground. But Chang Yuheng didn't seem to care. He hung on to me like a bear, rubbing against me in a playful, clingy manner. Lin Wan had long been rendered speechless by the scene, standing to the side and staring at us in astonishment. My dear, what are you doing here? Did you come here just to pick me up?" With Chang Yuheng's interruption, I didn't press the matter further with Zhang Niao. After exchanging greetings with Prince Qing, I took Chang Yuheng and Lin Wan back to the mansion. On the way back, Lin Wan clearly had a lot she wanted to ask, but she was tactful enough not to voice it. "Thank you very much, Miss Lin." Since she wasn't going to speak up, I decided to take the initiative. Lin Wan seemed taken aback that I would thank her. A fleeting look of bewilderment crossed her face, and she quickly waved her hands. No, I acted on impulse just now. I'm worried I might have gotten you into trouble." As if she'd just realized what she'd done, Lin Wan's face paled slightly. I took her hand, sure enough, it was ice cold from fear. "Miss Lin, there's no need to worry. You won't get into trouble." I reassured her with a few words, then changed the subject to divert her attention. That evening, as I rested in Chang Yuheng's arms, I brought up the matter. Chang Yuheng was quite surprised that Lin Wan would step in to help me, but he quickly came to terms with it. After all, they'd spent quite a bit of time together, and Chang Yuheng knew something of Lin Wan's character. I asked him, since Lin Wan was his savior and had now drawn the ire of Zhang Niao on my behalf, how he planned to repay her. Chang Yuheng answered, without opening his eyes, "In that case tomorrow, I'll ask her if she'd be willing to be my sworn sister. That way, she won't have to fear being bullied when we go out." After he finished speaking, I fell into a brief silence, then curled up and turned away from his embrace. He still had his eyes closed, looking as if he were about to fall asleep. I looked up at him. For some reason, I felt incredibly happy and couldn't help but tilt my head back and kiss his chin. "All right, let's do it your way." Chang Yuheng said nothing, but simply tightened his arms around me. The next day, Chang Yuheng rose early and had someone prepare the items needed for the blood-swearing ceremony. I, on the other hand, went to find Lin Wan. She had also gotten up early and was having breakfast. When she saw me approach, she hurriedly stood up, but I stopped her. "Keep eating. I want to discuss something with you." Hearing this, a hint of nervousness flashed in Lin Wan's eyes, and she began to eat more slowly. I told her about taking her as my sworn sister last night and waited for her response. Lin Wan hadn't expected this. After a moment's surprise, she repeated the words in disbelief. "The general wishes to take me as his sworn sister. Yes, if you don't mind, you can stay in the capital as our sworn sister." After a moment's thought, I added, "If you don't want to stay in the capital, that's fine too." After a long silence, Lin Wan suddenly set down the steamed bun she was holding, stood up, and knelt before me. Uncertain what this was all about, I hurriedly reached out to help her up. "Thank you, sister-in-law, and general, for allowing me to stay in the capital. I ask that you look after your younger sister in the future." That was her acceptance. I quickly stood up to help her to her feet, telling her there was no need for such formalities between us. As soon as Lin Wan agreed, I had the prepared documents sent to the palace. Neither Chang Yuheng nor Lin Wan had parents, so there was no need to inform any relatives. I served as the witness, and in accordance with the regulations and rituals, the ceremony was completed that very day. That evening, Eunuch Li came to deliver a congratulatory gift and a message. "Madam Du, the Emperor requests that you come to the palace tomorrow at the hour of C." I frowned. I didn't particularly want to go, but I knew there was no escaping it. What must come will come sooner or later. There's no dopiet. The Emperor holds court every day at the hour of Mao, and discusses state affairs with his ministers in the imperial study at the hour of Chen. The hour of Sai is typically reserved for reviewing memorials. I wondered what business he could have with me that would be more important than matters of state. Without waiting for the palace to send for me, I rode my horse directly to the palace. The guards at the gate tried to stop me, but upon seeing who I was, they hurriedly opened the gate and let me in. I rode all the way to the entrance of the imperial study, where Eunuch Li, who had been waiting there for some time, immediately had someone come to lead my horse away. Just as he was about to announce my arrival, I pushed the door open and walked right in. Inside, the man who had been reviewing memorials paused in his work and looked up at me. Upon recognizing me, he furrowed his brow, a look of helplessness crossing his face. He waved the flustered Eunuch Li away before speaking. "Auntie, next time you come, please have someone announce your arrival." Otherwise, he really would have been scared to death. I sat down beside him, ignoring his remark, and took a sip of tea. Go ahead. What brings you here? The emperor sighed, seemingly accustomed to my manner. He set down the brush in his hand, adopting a posture as if preparing for a heart-to-heart conversation. Auntie, what happened yesterday? What do you mean? What happened? I set down my teacup, refusing to take the bait. The emperor looked at me without speaking. After a long moment, he sighed. Never mind. Never mind. In this matter, it was Zhang who was in the wrong to begin with. He was trying to put it behind us. But even if he wanted to move on, he'd have to get my approval first. Oh, that matter with Lady Zhang, I said meaningfully, setting down my teacup. Lady Zhang has repeatedly spoken provocatively to me, even going so far as to point her finger at my nose and berate me in public. Such behavior is unbecoming of the imperial family and deserves punishment. The emperor frowned, then nodded after a long pause. Since he didn't bring up anything else, I took it as a sign that the matter was settled. I stood up to leave, but just then, he spoke urgently. Aunt. Seeing me stop, the emperor seemed to have made up his mind and spoke in a grave tone. The northern army is pressing against our borders. Shu Muting has held out for half a month, but he's nearly at his limit. Shu Muting was our dynasty's foremost warrior, brave and strategic, never having suffered a single defeat, known as the ever-victorious general. If even he was struggling to hold out, it showed just how formidable the northern forces were. But what did that have to do with me? I was, after all, merely a general's wife. Even when my husband went off to war, I could do nothing but stay behind in the capital, let alone someone else's situation. What does this have to do with me? Leaving those words behind, I turned to continue walking out. The emperor rose to his feet in panic. If Shu Muting cannot hold out and the northern pass falls, the great Qi will be in danger. Auntie. I stopped in my tracks but did not turn to look at him. The emperor stood beside me, looking at me with an almost pleading gaze. Suddenly, the words the late emperor had left me upon his passing echoed in my mind. Zelen, promise me this. Unless the nation faces imminent peril, do not leave the capital. Stay by Chener's side. You must help me protect him. Chener is the current emperor. When the late emperor passed away, the emperor was only 8 years old. Faced with ministers and imperial relatives who were all waiting for their chance, he didn't even have the ability to protect himself. It was I who watched over him day and night, shielded him, helped him command respect throughout the court and the realm, consolidated his power, and allowed him to grow up safely until he turned 18. And at that time, I was only 15 myself. I had thought that once the emperor came of age, I could finally rest. But that imperial decree restricted my freedom. I've resented it. I've been angry. But what can I do? I shouldn't have agreed to that old man's request back then. Thinking of this, I felt a surge of anger. The emperor seemed to sense my unease. He pressed his lips together, not daring to speak. I didn't look at him. I raised my hand and opened the door. The midday sun poured in, bathing me in its warm glow. The weather is truly lovely, I remarked. The emperor froze, unable to respond. I ignored him and stepped outside. Auntie, I hope the weather is just as nice when I return. When I got home, it was just lunchtime, and Chang Yuheng and Lin Wan were waiting for me. Oh, by the way, dear, there's a palace banquet tomorrow night. I had Guishang make you a new dress. Why don't you try it on later? Chang Yuheng said earnestly, as he served me some food. I paused for a moment before it dawned on me. That's right, tomorrow is the palace banquet to celebrate Chang Yuheng's victorious return. Logically, I should be going with him, but the situation on the northern front is critical, so I have to leave today. Thinking of this, my resentment toward that old geezer and the emperor grew even deeper. In the imperial study, the emperor, who was reviewing memorials, suddenly sneezed. Eunuch Li was about to call for the imperial physician, but the emperor stopped him. No need. I suspect it's my aunt cursing me. The emperor wiped his nose and continued reviewing the memorials, acting as if nothing had happened. Meanwhile, I casually agreed to Chang Yuheng's request. After a moment's thought, I also ordered a new set of clothes to be made for Lin Wan. Sister-in-law, I don't need them. Lin Wan tried to refuse, but I cut her off. You are now our younger sister, and a young lady of the general's mansion. You deserve a few new outfits. Hearing this, Lin Wan didn't refuse anymore and agreed with a smile. After lunch, I went back to my bedroom to pack my things. Chang Yuheng, sensing something was off, followed me. Seeing me pack, a flicker of panic crossed his face. Why are you packing? Are you going back to your parents' home? You don't need to bring this much if you're just going back. I shot him a helpless glance. I had no family home to return to. My parents had passed away long ago. I was raised by my master. The emperor addressed me as aunt, merely out of respect for the late emperor. As for my relationship with the late emperor, it was nothing more than that. We had studied under the same master. I'm going to the northern frontier. You stay here and mind the house. I'll be back soon. I answered his question while packing. Feeling Chang Yuheng's body go rigid beside me, I sighed inwardly and paused to pull him into my arms. My dear, you're going to the northern frontier. Can't you just stay? We've only just been reunited. His voice was choked with tears, as if he were about to burst into tears at any moment. I stroked his face and wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes. I have to go. Shu Muting won't last much longer. Don't worry, I'll be back in less than 2 months. 2 months is too long. Chang Yuheng pouted in protest, but the journey alone would take half a month. 2 months really wasn't that long. All right, be a good boy. I ruffled his hair and continued packing my bags. Chang Yuheng looked like a lost puppy that had been abandoned, following me around as I packed. He knew there was no way to stop me, but he didn't want to let me go. Just before leaving, I suddenly remembered something. Take Wanner to tomorrow's palace banquet. Introduce her to everyone so that no one with a bad attitude will bully her in the future. Having spent these past few days with Linwan, I'd grown quite fond of her. Since I'd taken her as my adopted sister, it was only natural to protect her and ensure no one bullied her. Chang Yuhung understood this as well, so he nodded in agreement. Only after giving these instructions did I feel at ease heading to the northern frontier. I'd originally thought I'd be back home in 2 months, but I never imagined that by the time I returned to the capital, half a year would have passed. What I never expected was that I'd actually become pregnant. The situation in the northern frontier could not be described simply as dire. It was nothing short of a rout. The enemy had somehow procured a herd of elephants, driving them to the front lines to serve as a mobile shield while they hid behind and fired arrows from the shadows. Countless of our men had perished beneath the elephants' hooves, not to mention the hand-to-hand combat with the enemy. Many soldiers had been scattered by the charging elephants, and their fate, whether dead or alive, remained unknown. Even worse news is that Shu Muting has gone missing. By the time I arrived in the northern frontier, morale could no longer be described as merely low. A sense of deathly stillness hung over everything, as if the war had already been lost and they were simply sitting around waiting to die. I had once followed my master into battle and witnessed countless horrors, yet I was still shocked by the scene before me. My master once said that if an army lacks even the will to fight, it is as good as dead. What I must do now is lift the soldiers' spirits, and the most direct way to do that is to win. But winning is never that easy. After discussing the situation with several veteran generals in the army, I immediately issued several orders. First, we must strengthen our defenses and avoid engaging the enemy in open battle for the time being. Next, I ordered men to gather thick logs and massive boulders. They worked through the night to sharpen the logs and transport them, along with the boulders, to the city walls. I also commanded men to douse several of the boulders with flammable oil, ready for any emergency. With that done, there remained 2 most critical tasks. The first was to find Shu Muting, the second was to find a way to destroy the herd of elephants. Neither of these tasks would be easy to accomplish, but no matter how difficult, they had to be done. I had brought an elite unit with me. This unit did not belong to the imperial family, nor to the state. It belonged solely to me. It was a legacy left to me by my master. I sent several men to search for Shu Muting's whereabouts, while I led the rest to devise a plan to destroy the enemy's elephant herd. By the time these 2 matters were settled, 2 months had passed. As for me, I was unexpectedly wounded during the enemy's invasion. After being rescued, the army doctor told me I was already more than 2 months pregnant. But at that time, Shu Muting had just been found, severely injured, and was completely unable to command the army. I had no choice but to ask the doctor to keep the news under wraps and continue leading the army in battle against the enemy. By the 4th month, Shu Muting had finally recovered, and he took over my position. By then, the tide of battle had turned without their herds of elephants. The enemy was no match for us. In the end, under Shu Muting's leadership, we successfully repelled the enemy. Not only did we reclaim the lost territories, but we also captured a city. When this news reached the capital, the emperor was overjoyed, and an imperial edict summoning me back was sent immediately. However, I never received it. I had already set out on my journey home before the edict arrived. I returned to the capital with a heart full of joy, looking forward to seeing Chang Yuhung as soon as possible. Little did I know that such an outcome awaited me. It is hereby decreed that General Chang Yuhung and Miss Linwan shall be betrothed, and a date for their wedding shall be set. I had just stepped down from the carriage when I heard Eunuch Li's shrill voice. After hearing clearly what he had said, I froze in place, looking up in disbelief at the people in the courtyard. Eunuch Li was offering his congratulations, handing the imperial edict to Chang Yuhung. Chang Yuhung remained kneeling on the ground. His figure was obscured by Eunuch Li, so I couldn't make out the expression on his face. Linwan knelt behind Chang Yuhung, her head bowed, as if she hadn't yet come to terms with the edict. General Chang, please accept the edict and express your gratitude. I must return to the palace to report. The shrill, repulsive voice carried a hint of laughter, making one want to vomit. I casually pulled an object from the carriage and hurled it viciously at him. There was a loud thud. Eunuch Li screamed as he collapsed to the ground, clutching his head where it had been struck and wailing in agony. Only then did Chang Yuhung and Linwan snap out of their daze, looking up at me in astonishment. I paid them no mind, shot Chang Yuhung a fierce glare, and turned to get back into the carriage. To the palace. The coachman immediately cracked the whip and drove off toward the palace. Chang Yuhung and Linwan ran after us, trying to explain something, but how could they possibly catch up to a carriage? My eyes were bloodshot, my eyelids stinging, as if warmth were welling up from deep within. Zhang Shang, who had returned with me, saw me like this, and, feeling quite sorry for me, wiped away my tears and tried to comfort me. But I couldn't take in a single word right now. My mind was filled with only one thought: to slap the emperor hard across the face a few times. While I was risking my life on the frontier to defend the city and the country, he went and took a concubine for Chang Yuhung. He really deserves a good thrashing. The coachman didn't waste a moment and soon arrived at the palace gates. The guards at the gate stopped us, refusing entry. I pulled back the curtain and glared at them. They immediately stepped aside. At my command, the coachman barreled through, throwing the palace into chaos. Finally, amid a chorus of screams and curses, he came to a smooth stop right in front of the empress's chambers. At that moment, the emperor, the empress, and several concubines were sitting together in conversation. Although they had heard the commotion outside, the messengers sent to investigate had not yet returned with a report. I leaped out of the carriage, and the instant I stepped into the chambers, a gale of wind flared up from beneath my feet. The emperor seemed to sense trouble and rose to leap, but I grabbed him by the collar. Smack, 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 smack. With one hand gripping the emperor's collar, I delivered several hard slaps to his face with the other. The empress and the concubines screamed in terror. I kicked them to the ground and delivered a few more savage kicks, silencing them instantly. Auntie, please don't. The emperor's face was swollen from my blows. He tried to speak but couldn't make out a word. I grabbed him by the throat and lifted him off the ground. I really gave you too much leeway. I sent you to the frontier to defend the country, and you're here taking concubines for my husband. Who do you think you're disgusting? Do you think that if I don't beat you for 3 days, you'll forget who your auntie is? The emperor's face had turned purple from my grip. He clasped my fingers with both hands, trying to break free. My wife. A familiar voice came from behind me, and the next moment, I was swept into someone's arms. Chang Yuheng trembled all over as he held me tight, his breath coming in rapid gasps by my ear. My dear, why didn't you tell me you were coming back? I missed you so much. He wasn't frightened by my frenzied state, nor did he try to reason with me. He simply poured out his longing for me. My rage, which had reached its peak, gradually subsided under his soothing words. I released my grip on the emperor's hand, and he instantly fell to the ground, gasping for breath in a pitiful heap. I let Chang Yuheng hold me, as if all my strength had been drained from me, and said nothing. The surrounding noise was deafening, yet I could hear nothing. My ears were filled with a buzzing sound. Then, everything went black, and I lost consciousness. When I woke up, I found myself lying on a bed in the general's mansion. Chang Yuheng sat by the bed, looking worried. Seeing me awake, he hurried over to help me up. My dear, how are you? Are you thirsty? Would you like some water? He helped me sit up. My gaze fell on a teacup, and Chang Yuheng immediately brought it over. It wasn't until I'd drunk 2 cups of tea that my throat finally felt soothed. But I didn't feel like speaking right now. Chang Yuheng didn't press me. Instead, he chattered on about what had happened afterward. After I fainted, the eunuch summoned the imperial physician. The empress wanted to have us thrown into prison, but the emperor stopped her. The physician examined him and found his injuries weren't too serious. He'd just have some difficulty speaking and eating until the swelling in his face went down. After writing the prescription, the emperor ordered the physician to check on me. Naturally, I was fine. I'd simply fainted from the stress. At the same time, the imperial physician revealed that I was pregnant. I had asked Shu Muting and the others to keep this a secret. I hadn't told a soul. Very few people in the army knew about it, let alone Chang Yuheng and the others back in the capital. My dear, you're pregnant. Why didn't you tell me? Chang Yuheng stroked my slightly rounded belly, speaking with a mix of tenderness and reproach. I leaned against the headboard, not answering him, but simply looking at him. Chang Yuheng could always read my mind. He shifted his gaze from my belly and met my eyes. My dear, I don't know the details of this arranged marriage either. I've always been on good terms with her. You didn't know that, did you? My younger sister has partnered with someone to open a medical clinic. She's very busy these days, and I rarely see her. Chang Yuheng chattered on, recounting everything that had happened since I'd left. After I left, Lin Wan learned some things about me from Chang Yuheng. She admired me as a capable woman and felt she should follow my example and make a name for herself, so she proposed opening a small herbal shop in the capital. Lin Wan's parents were both physicians, and she had picked up quite a bit from them over the years. While she wouldn't claim to be able to cure illnesses, she was absolutely certain she could never make a mistake when compounding prescriptions. Chang Yuheng thought this was a good idea, so he took her to look for a suitable shop. During their search, they met Dr. Shu, who had just arrived in the capital. Lin Wan and Dr. Shu hit it off immediately. Upon learning that he also wanted to open a medical clinic in the capital, the two decided to go into business together. At this point, Chang Yuheng suddenly took on a gossipy, mysterious look. Let me tell you, my dear, there's definitely something going on between them. The way that Dr. Shu looks at Lin Wan is exactly the same as the way I look at you. He was getting carried away, but I didn't want to listen. I don't know if it was because I was pregnant, but I always felt so exhausted. Seeing me close my eyes, Chang Yuheng fell silent and gently helped me lie down on the bed. Only after I had fallen into a deep sleep did he get up. Just as he turned to leave, I grabbed his sleeve. Chang Yuheng paused and took off his outer robe. The weight in my hand vanished suddenly, and my chest tightened as warmth welled up in my eyes. But soon, I felt someone tiptoe onto the bed and lie down carefully on the inner side. A familiar scent enveloped me, bringing a sense of security I'd never felt before. It was as if emotions that had been bottled up for a long time burst forth in that moment. I couldn't help but bury my face in his chest and sob softly. Chang Yuheng didn't say a word. He simply held me close, his large hands stroking my back again and again, offering warm comfort. Another half-month passed before a messenger arrived from the palace, summoning Chang Yuheng, Lin Wan, and me to the palace. This time, it wasn't Eunuch Li who came. Perhaps he'd been frightened by me last time and didn't dare to return. Chang Yuheng and Lin Wan looked at me, as if seeking my opinion. I had no objections. After finishing breakfast, I boarded the imperial carriage. Seeing this, the two of them hurried to follow. The carriage rocked back and forth. I leaned against Chang Yuheng and closed my eyes to rest. For the past half-month, neither the emperor nor anyone else had sought me out. It was as if the incident where I slapped the emperor across the face in the palace had never happened. As for events outside the palace and within its walls, Chang Yuheng had told me quite a bit. Shu Muting routed the enemy forces, and soon received a letter of surrender. The emperor was overjoyed and summoned him back to the capital to report. The empress was placed under house arrest, and the concubines I had kicked to the ground that day were either sent to a nunnery or banished to the cold palace. I heard that the emperor would grant a royal marriage between Chang Yuheng and Lin Wan. Apparently, he had believed their lies. But I always felt that things weren't that simple. I know the emperor's character. Well, he wouldn't risk offending me just because of what some concubines in the harem said and grant them a royal marriage. There must be another reason behind this. I had a premonition that I would find out the reason today. The carriage did not stop at the palace gates but continued straight through until it came to a halt before the main hall. Chang Yuheng helped me down from the carriage, and several eunuchs approached carrying a palanquin. I made no pretense of politeness, stepping directly inside and letting them carry me in. Normally, at this hour, the court session would have ended, and the ministers would have returned to their respective duties. But today was clearly different. All the court officials were present. The emperor sat on his high throne. Spotting me being carried in from afar, he rose immediately. The palanquin was set down steadily in the center of the hall. I did not rise, but remained seated inside. Chang Yuheng and Lin Wan stood on either side of me, like two bodyguards. The atmosphere grew slightly awkward, and the emperor cleared his throat to break the silence. I have heard that Lady Du displayed great bravery on the battlefield, not only routing the enemy's elephant herd in a single stroke, but also locating General Shu, who had been missing for many days. As he spoke, he stole glances at me, as if afraid of saying the wrong thing and upsetting me. I stared at him impassively, waiting for him to continue. Shu Muting had already told him everything that happened on the battlefield. Now he was simply trying to praise me in front of all the ministers. Some time ago, I heard that General Chang and Miss Lin were deeply in love. Since Miss Lin is someone Lady Du approves of, I assumed General Chang intended to take her as a concubine, which is why I issued the decree granting their marriage. He was explaining, but I didn't want to listen. Ha! I let out a cold laugh, looking at him with scorn. On the 5th day of the 3rd month this year, my husband and Miss Lin became sworn siblings of different surnames, and he recognized Miss Lin as his adopted sister. That very morning, I sent a messenger to deliver the documents to the palace. What? Did the emperor not receive them? I was giving him a way out, but I didn't expect his expression to shift slightly. He furrowed his brow and asked me if it was true. Upon learning that I was telling the truth, the emperor's face darkened instantly. But he didn't say much more, merely excusing himself by saying there were too many official documents, and perhaps he hadn't noticed. I didn't say anything further either. He had summoned me to the palace to publicly reward me, and also to explain the events that had occurred recently. After all, I had raised him from infancy. He didn't want to hurt me because of a misunderstanding. Before leaving, I glanced back at the emperor seated on his high throne. Our eyes met, and then I turned and walked away. From that moment on, I could truly let go. After returning home, I began living a peaceful life, focusing on my pregnancy. To make amends for what had happened, the emperor sent people to deliver many fine gifts, and even arranged for a court physician to care for me. Not long after the misunderstanding between Lin Wan and me was resolved, she asked to move out. I tried to persuade her to stay a few times, but eventually let her go. However, she often came back to visit me. That physician Shu would sometimes accompany her on these visits, mostly to discuss medical theories with the imperial physician. He seemed like a reliable man. With Chang Yuheng and me acting as matchmakers, the two were married before long. Now the couple runs a small clinic, and their life is quite happy. In late autumn, a major incident occurred in the capital. Prince Qing attempted a rebellion and was thrown into prison. His mansion was raided, and his family members implicated in the plot were sent to the guillotine. Among them, of course, was Zhang Nioniao. I heard she had already gone mad by the time she was arrested. Her body covered in old scars, clear signs she had been tortured for a long time. I have no idea what she went through during that period. The emperor dealt with the Prince of Qing's followers with ruthless severity, but he showed mercy when it came to the prince himself. After all, he was a member of the imperial family, so the emperor showed him some mercy. He had the Prince of Qing imprisoned in the imperial mausoleum, where he was to guard the late emperor's remains day and night as penance for his crimes. Before he was taken away, the Prince of Qing asked to see me one last time, and the emperor granted his request. Since I was about to give birth and could not enter the prison to see him, the emperor arranged for us to meet at the pavilion by Qingfeng Lake. He looked much more haggard than before. In my memory, he had always carried himself with an air of nobility, determined to have his way in everything. That included me. Prince Qing loved me. I knew that, but I did not love him. He was a man of obsession, unable to have me. He went mad searching for those who resembled me. Princess consort Zhang Nioniao, as well as his other secondary consorts and concubines, all bore a certain resemblance to me. Yet he would not tolerate anyone offending me. So when he saw Zhang Nioniao act disrespectfully toward me in public, he tormented her until she went mad. He said he learned of Lin Wan's affair from Zhang Nioniao, so he decided to have the emperor arrange a marriage between Chang Yuheng and her all, to provoke me into reconciling with Chang Yuheng. He said he had foreseen my early return, and timed the emperor's decree precisely to provoke me. He said that not having me was his regret, and that he would pray at the imperial mausoleum for my divorce from Chang Yuheng to be finalized as soon as possible. After I slapped him hard across the face a few times, he quieted down. I don't know why he fell for me. Perhaps this is the trouble that comes with being too charming. As I watched the carriage escorting Prince Qing depart, I turned around and saw Chang Yuheng waiting for me not far away. I waved at him, and he ran toward me with a smile. Suddenly, a sharp, stabbing pain shot through my abdomen. I instantly clutched my stomach in agony and crouched down. Oh no, the baby's coming early. Quick, call Wanner to deliver the baby.